Well, I've noticed that some of, like, for example, some of the posts that you've been putting up on your social media about some of these accredited zoos using these animals as photo ops. Now, are they being investigated on that, or is that something that the AZA allows?
That is a great question. That is unfortunately something the AZA not only allows, it condones, and it helps promote.
Mm,
So while we only focused on Columbus because Jack happened to be there, but
right.
none of the other faux conservationists were officially affiliated with a zoo, AZA accredited zoo. Uh, but so, for example, the Columbus Zoo had cheetah ambassadors, and at the Wilds, their 10,000 acre preserve, they breed cheetahs out there, and they raise a lot of them as ambassador animals.
Mm-hmm.
But realize that Columbus Zoo's ambassador animal program,
Mm,
this was pre-COVID, so it'd be 2020, early 2020. I had numbers that I pulled up. They had 25 full time. They had 25 staff members with I think, over 130 animals, like 20 something species. So
mm-hmm.
it's everything from small reptiles to the cats to, at the time, primates, which they're not going to take off site anymore. So, but these ambassador animal programs are at almost every AZA accredited zoo across the country. You either hear them call them an animal ambassador or an
Sure.
ambassador animal.
Yeah.
But
Ambassador.
for example, the yeah, there you go, to its cousin in the wild.
Right. Exactly.
So the AZA, right? So the Columbus Zoo still has their ambassador cheetahs, and they still perform shows on site at the zoo.
Mm-hmm.
And I caught them taking pictures earlier this year, but I haven't been able to catch that recently. But realize there are, I think, last count I had 10 other AZA accredited zoos that have ambassador cheetahs. The one you probably saw recently was from the Cincinnati Zoo, where they do cheetah painting, and they have them on a leash,
Yeah.
and walk them over, canvases of paint while
I
the
saw that.
audience sits in the bleachers within, probably 5 to 10 feet of these cheetahs. Now, here's an interesting thing that I think probably all of the public is unaware of.
Mm-hmm.
You say, well, how, the AZ has a policy that there have to be two barriers between an apex predator like that
Mm.
and the public at all times. Two
Okay.
barriers.
Right.
So you or I would think, or I'm sure the most of the public would think, well, that's a fence or a wall or a moat. The AZA condones and allows two keepers holding one leash each
Mm.
to suffice for two barriers.
Hmm.
So you'll see these animal caretakers walking around with two leashes holding a cheetah by the neck.
Yeah.
That is, by AZA standards, two barriers. So what I put up recently is not only is that it's absurd
Yeah.
and not safe,
Right.
but if you look at the videos I've been posting, the Cincinnati Zoo in particular, there was one keeper holding two leashes. There weren't even two keepers holding two leashes. So if that cheetah wanted to lunge
Sure.
out at any of the spectators, it's within striking
Oh,
distance.
absolutely.
And these cheetah attacks are not frequent, but it's not like they don't happen. They happen at the Columbus Zoo on a couple of occasions. And so going back to the ambassador animals, so there's cheetahs, but realize, like San Diego
Mm-hmm.
Zoo and Safari Park, they have ambassador cheetahs, ambassador servals, ambassador caracals, ambassador just a numerous
Right.
species of cats
Right.
that are all behind the scenes. It's all a VIP tour, and you get to be within walking distance of these magnificent creatures, but at the
Mm-hmm.
cat's expense.